Right off the bat, this story makes you ask a pretty deep question. When good fortune just kind of lands in your lap, is it a prize to be enjoyed, or is it something more, like a test of who you really are? It's a question that's going to hang over this entire story.
At the core of this whole thing, you've got these two clashing forces, and they're brought to life by two people. One of them, their first instinct is always to share. The other, their only instinct is to take. And their choices, well, they're going to change everything.
So let's start with the first path, the path of mercy. And that journey begins with a kind woman named Halima. Her life is about to change in a way she could never, ever have seen coming.
So how does it all begin? Well, it starts when this absolutely beautiful cat with these stunning emerald eyes just appears. Halima, being a kind soul, leaves out a bowl of milk for it. The next morning she comes out, the milk is gone, and right there in its place is a single gleaming gold coin. And this isn't a one-time thing. This miracle happens day after day after day.
Now, here's the big question, right? What does Halima do with all this sudden cash? And this is where we really see who she is. She doesn't just squirrel it all away. Nope. She fixes up her home, sure, but way more importantly, she shares it. She feeds the poor, and her kindness just flows out, becoming this source of abundance for her whole community.
But you know how it is, good fortune like that, it tends to draw some unwanted attention. And that brings us to our second character, Barakat, who happens to be Halima's landlord. And he represents a much, much darker path.
So Barakat, he's just watching all this unfold from the shadows, and you can just imagine his heart just burning with envy. The second he sees the miracle happen with his own two eyes, he doesn't see a blessing, he doesn't see a mystery, he sees an asset. A magic cat, he whispers to himself, and you can just see that wicked plan starting to form.
He doesn't even think about asking. No, he just takes. At the crack of dawn, Barakat springs his trap. He catches the poor creature in a heavy net, drags it back to his huge mansion, and just locks it away in a cold, dark room. His plan is so simple and so ugly. Force the magic to work for him and him alone. Just think about Halima's approach for a second. When she was given this gift, her first instinct was to open her hands and let that blessing flow out into the world.
Now Barakat, totally the opposite. He sees the exact same gift, and his immediate reaction is to clench his fist around it, to own it, to cage it.
And right there, you can see the two paths laid out, plain as day. The path of mercy, it starts with generosity, it builds a community, and it leads to true abundance. But the path of greed, that one starts with envy. It leads to isolation, and it always ends with hoarding. Just two completely different ways of looking at the world.
So you can probably guess what happens next, right? When you try to trap something magical and force it to do your bidding, it's just not going to end well. Barakat is about to find out exactly what the consequences are. This is the reckoning.
He shoves this huge vat of milk in front of the captured cat and just screams his demand at it. "Drink and fill my house with gold." Can you just hear that raw, entitled greed? He's not asking for a blessing. He's demanding a payment he feels he's owed.
But the cat, it doesn't obey. For 3 whole days, it just sits there, completely silent, its emerald eyes glowing with this cold, almost freezing light. Barakat's frustration just boils over into pure rage, and by that 3rd day, he's standing over this small creature, threatening it with a heavy staff. And then, finally, under the threat of that staff, the cat takes one single sip. Just one. But this one sip isn't going to bring gold. Oh no. It's going to bring ruin.
But what comes out isn't a gold coin. Nope, it's a lump of black coal. And the moment it does, this horrifying change starts to happen. All of Barakat's hoarded gold, every chest packed with coins, it all just turns into worthless dust right before his very eyes.
And it's not just the gold. The curse is spreading like a poison. With every sip the cat takes, it gets worse. His grand, expensive furniture just crumbles into piles of useless gray ash. His whole mansion is literally falling apart around him.
It's like the very greed that made him do all this became real, a physical thing that just ate everything he cared about. His endless desire for more has left him with absolutely nothing.
So Halima hears all this chaos and rushes over to the mansion. And it's there, standing in the middle of the wreckage of Barakat's greed, that the cat's true nature, its true purpose, is finally revealed.
The cat just leaps onto Halima's shoulder and then it speaks. Yeah, it tells them it's not some ordinary animal, but a guardian of blessings. It was sent to test the hearts of mortals, to see how a blessing, how wealth, would actually be used.
And its judgment, wow. It's just crystal clear, explaining everything perfectly. The guardian looks at them both and says, I found a treasure of mercy in your heart, but a bottomless pit of greed in his.
And that's pretty much how our story ends. You've got Halima, whose mercy is rewarded with a lasting blessing. Her cow's milk now literally shimmers with gold. But then you have Barakat, whose greed left him with nothing but a house of ash and a life of ruin and regret. Peace versus regret. Generosity versus dust.
So in the end, the fable kind of turns the question back on us, doesn't it? It's not really about magic cats and gold coins. It's about us. When opportunity or good fortune comes our way, what's our first instinct? What kinds of treasures, the treasures of mercy or the treasures of greed, are we nurturing inside our own hearts?